give it a minute to populate here. Let's give it a minute to populate here. Let's see what we got here. All right, we got 3 viewers so far. 3 viewers. That's not enough. That's not enough, folks. Come on. I know my fans can do better than that. I know. If we just give it a minute here, the people will come. Stephanie London, hey, nice to see you. News Now, Connecticut. Thanks for being here. Nick's Movie Mix. Right on, right on. We may be joined by a guest here. I think we're going to definitely be joined by a guest here after we wrap up tonight's housekeeping and business here. I've got a great bit of information about the Vernon, Connecticut Police Department. It's custodian of records and the chief, Mr. James Kenny. Now, let's see. Oh, we got 9 viewers in here. All right, cool. What do we got for likes on the video, guys? You guys want to hear this big news? All right, we got 13 likes. That's pretty huge. More likes than viewers. All right, so I guess we'll run with that. I'm liking that so far. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys what this is all about. Tonight, what brings us here is, let's see, share this screen. How am I doing that? Oh, there we go. Let's go full on board with this. Some of you folks may know about this already if you do follow my posts on my community page. This was publicized, and this is my initial records request, which you can see here is done on April the 20th, 2021. I'm going to go ahead and read this to you guys and show you what I've had to endure here, just trying to pull simple records. To give you a little bit before I begin, I put in a FOIA request in compliance with the law to the custodian of records, the keeper of records at Vernon Police Department in Vernon, Connecticut. Because I was not pulling records on a criminal or on a criminal case, and rather pulling records on one of their officers, one of the first responses I got from Christine Lee, the custodian of records over there, was, oh, you're going to need to subpoena that. Oh, that's not public information. So I had to kind of educate her a little bit. My team and I over here have been diligently picking at these people, trying to be nice, trying to educate them, and it hasn't been fruitful, to say the least. So she ends up forwarding me over to the chief of police so that I can put in a freedom of information request. So now I have the chief of police working with me, which we'll get to in a few moments here. And then the chief decides that it would be best if he forwards me to the city's attorney for these records. It's really quite remarkable. So let me go ahead and just get into this. Attention, custodial supervisor Christine Lee, clerks Donna Carson, Leanne Mullen, and Kayla Exliston. I don't know how to pronounce that name. Sorry if I butchered it. Dear Madam, this is a request under the Freedom of Information Act. I request that a copy of the following documents pertaining specifically to Unit Number 222, Badge Number 222, Officer Danny J. McCauley, or documents containing the following information specific to said Officer Danny J. McCauley be provided to me. Accommodations, disciplinary, salary, benefits, overtime, training, annual time spent at the firing range, and total sum of discharged rounds, annual time spent in law libraries, educational background, job application, a complete inventory of department issued, carried, used, worn, driven, or damaged by said officer and associated costs. Body cam footage, full frame, entire shift, complete with audio, on dates September 15th, 2020 and September 16th, 2020. Department issued cell phone call logs, inbound and out, message logs sent and received, voicemails, pictures, videos, trash data on dates 8/28/2020 through 9/17/2020. We suspect there's going to be some goodies in there. Emails sent, received, drafted, deleted, archived from PC or any other issued device on dates 8/28/2020 through 9/17/2020. I would also like a copy of the department's rules and regulation policy book, code of conduct that all officers would be expected to adhere to. I can't speak for Vernon PD, but presumably it has one or something like it. As you know, Freedom of Information Act requires agencies to release information unless it is specifically exempt from disclosure, and also requires agencies to release all reasonable, segregable, non-exempt portions of documents, i.e. to redact exempt portions of documents and release the rest. See 5 U.S. Code 552A8. In order to help determine my status for purposes of determining the applicability of any fees, you should know that I am a representative of the news media affiliated with Activism News Network, and this request is made as part of news gathering and not for commercial use. I request a waiver for all fees for this request. Disclosure of the requested information to me is in the public interest because it is likely to contribute significantly to public understanding of the operations or activities of the government, public servants, and it is not primarily in my commercial interest. This information will be disseminated to the public upon television, radio, internet, and podcast for review. How Vernon PD officers conduct themselves, the associated costs, practices, performance of this officer, and specific cases he's associated with will be examined, criticized, and reviewed by law enforcement, attorneys, and most important, the people. I go on to say, I request that the information I seek be provided in electronic format. I ask that my request receive expedited processing because a legal team needs to determine if and how to proceed in pursuing legal recourse against said officer. If it is learned that the officer is in violation of the law, acting unethically in official capacity, recording libelous remarks, slandering law-abiding citizens, recording false allegations in official capacity in his ignorance of the law, it is to be expected he will violate the law again, the people's rights, and inaccurately report his engagements. This creates a very serious and very expensive problem, not just for Vernon PD and the town's taxpayers, but the state, the courts, and above all, innocent people. This officer needs to be investigated immediately to protect the people from further harm and, if appropriate, held liable and accountable for his activities in uniform. I've included a telephone number. Oh yeah, I probably won't want to put that in there on the video. Whatever. At which I can be contacted during the hours of 9 a.m. till 6 p.m. if necessary to discuss any aspect of my request. I have also included my email address. Thank you for your prompt consideration of this request and the phone call early this morning. I also enjoy and sincerely appreciate a pleasant professional exchange with my public servants. So this all kind of starts out pretty good. As you could see, I was not rude. I was not bombastic. I was doing my best to kind of be polite and professional because I want to acquire this information as swiftly as possible. So this goes on, and she says to me, this is her response, please complete the attached Freedom of Information request. Since it's various information, please indicate in the miscellaneous reports-records to see the email that was provided on April 20th. Please provide all the information in the requested by section. So right off the rip, the custodian of records, who I had to explain to on the phone prior to this email that all the information I was requesting is in fact public information and that I don't need a court order to acquire it. She follows up with this. Please provide all the information in the requested by section to include your signature. So right away, retaliation is on. They don't want to start working on procuring these records. Their initial response is a clear indication to me that they want to identify the individual trying to pull these records. And sadly for them, there are many individuals involved in pulling these records. I'm just one small piece of this. I am a member of this team. And this correspondence is not exclusively between the custodian for records and I. There's been a number of folks engaged in reading these emails and sending emails back to them. I've been coached considerably well, I might add. So right away, back to this. Right away, they want retaliation. They want to identify me. They want to do research on me. They want to pull records on me instead of fulfilling the lawful records request in compliance with law, which is telling of the tyrannical attitude and arrogance and the ignorance of the law within that department. Upon receipt of this completed document, I will acknowledge your FOIA request. Okay. I don't, first of all, so here's what she wants me, here's what she wanted me to fill out. That's the Vernon Police Department Freedom of Information request. Okay. I don't need to make a request on this form. It's okay. The format of the Freedom of Information request is important. The form on which, or the paper on which you present your request upon, has to be in a specific format. It doesn't have to be on a specific form. So I didn't take too kind to that. And this is Christine Lee, records supervisor. Being the local guy, I'm going to be the guy that goes into the police department to deal with these schmucks and try to obtain these records peacefully and take care of my business without being harassed, obstructed, bullied, picked on, what have you. So anyway, the response. Excellent. My legal assistant is completing the form for my approval now. Upon electronic receipt of the completed form and my approval, I want to be sure it's filled out properly, I'll have somebody in my office send it over to you. Thank you so much for your help today. I hope and I trust my effort to keep my personal and private identity confidential at this time does not compel you to disrupt, restrict, stifle, or prevent this process from being carried out dutifully and expeditiously as requested in my previous email. I have attached the appropriate information for your reference and your education. Below said information, you can find a link from which it's published for your reference. Respectfully, of course, and with great emphasis upon my private capacity and my rights therein. I will not be identifying myself, nor am I required to. It is incumbent upon me to keep my identity confidential throughout the investigation. I'm also not going to provide a mailing address for said documents and materials until they are physically inspected and approved. Is this going to be a problem for you? Please be advised. Quote, the identity of the Freedom of Information Act requester does not have any bearing on the outcome of the Freedom of Information request, regardless of what the Freedom of Information Act requester may know about the subject matter or the records. See the Department of Justice Guide, blah, blah, blah. And the Department of the Interior FOIA Handbook, Section 5.9. In cases where a law firm represents a client and uses the requested information in a lawsuit, the identity of the client generally does not have any bearing on the outcome of the FOIA request. The FOIA is designed to inform the public about agency actions, not to benefit the individual litigants. For more information, visit FOIA.gov, the USGS FOIA Reading Room, or send an email to foia@usgs.gov. So I completed their form. Our team, I should say, completed their form. Accident incident report number, non-specific at this time. Criminal history check, you bet. Please see attached email received and attached by Christine Lee for 2021. Now, this is exactly what she asked me to do, right? Going forward, remember, this is what she asked me to do in order to get these records. So I do what she asks me, and then she denies, she refuses to acknowledge the request and forwards me to the chief of police. It gets better. So, in addition, please include a list of this officer's last 100 arrests, engagements, their dates, and case numbers. Name, confidential throughout this investigation. Address, withheld, will be provided upon inspection. Phone number. Company name. Signature, the investigating representative. I got a real kick out of that. Gotta say, I kind of enjoyed that. So we follow up. We don't hear anything from her. The team follows up. Good morning, Christine. Can you confirm receipt of the attached PDF sent yesterday for me, please? Thank you so much. Please call me if you have any questions. Please let me know on what date I can come and inspect said records. Do you guys have a public information office? I'd like to speak with your public information officer and give the department an opportunity to speak to my colleagues and I regarding this egregious officer, Danny McCauley, and his actions. Perhaps you can forward the appropriate contact information so I may begin making arrangements. Please advise. Thank you. Does anybody see me being rude? Am I being rude? Am I obnoxious? Am I bombastic? Am I irritating, annoying these people? Like, am I doing anything to be derogatory, inflammatory, provocative? No, not that I see. Hey, thank you very much, Cartoon Violence. Yeah, it was very important for me to try and maintain that level of professionalism so that in any other setting, specifically one that would involve legal recourse, I could show with great contrast and distinction the output that I have versus the input I'm getting, or the lack thereof. I tried very, very hard with these people that I'm working with to convey that we have to address our servants in this specific situation as respectfully as possible. But once these guys took it to another level, that's when I got more personally involved and lost my composure to a degree, which will be slightly entertaining for you guys, I'm sure. Let's see. We'll move on. This came later that afternoon on the 21st, about an hour later. Just kind of waiting for a response, getting nothing. I'd like to remind you, actually, real quick to the comment section, Nick's Movie Mix. This is a completely different records request. The records request I have video of that will be published later this week, performed in-house at the department, was done last year and was relative to a criminal case involving citizens. So I got those records, no problem. These records are about one of the police department's own, and oh boy, do they have everything under the sun to try and protect this man and his dirty deeds, which you'll see here as these emails unfold. I'd like to just remind you, respectfully, of course, and the others possibly involved in this process, my records request doesn't have to be on your form. The one I've written out in proper format in which you are identified and you've replied to, acknowledged, is more than enough to satisfy any judge and is in full compliance with the law. Refusing to continue to acknowledge it is a crime, a violation of state and federal law. Here is what my legal team has to say. Quote, a FOIA request for public records kept in Vernon PD does not have to be made upon a Vernon PD letterhead. In fact, when making a request verbally, in person, or over the telephone, our public servants have to write out your request for you, especially if you ask them to. This would prevent custodians and police from claiming They can't read your handwriting. Some people can't read. Some people can't write. That doesn't mean they don't have access to public records. The custodian of records or the officer engaged with the individual, the requester, must record the request and expedite the process to be in compliance with the law. Again, a FOIA request must be made in a specific format, but the law does not require the request be made on a specific form. You do not need to give your name, nor does the law require it. I go on to say, failure to fulfill your duty in regard to this lawful request made on April 20th, 2021 at 11:43 a.m. Failure to acknowledge this request and provide in compliance with the law, said public records will be met with stiff prosecution and a very strong civil suit, not just against you privately and professionally, but against your department too. In the end, we get the records and more. Restricting access to these public records is a crime, a very serious crime. I do hope you are aware of that and the penalties. Be advised, we have recorded every step of this process so far, and the adjective record, unlike Danny McCulley here, does not lie. You've been so polite, seemed to be so helpful early on yesterday. I hope you don't make the same mistakes or attempt to deliberately and illegally restrict access to any of these public records, as you will certainly meet the same fate as the former custodians of records around the nation. Be advised, the law only gives you a small window of time to fulfill said request. The time started ticking on April 20th, 2021. Failure to meet your public and dutiful responsibility in your official capacity is a crime. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, I repeated myself a little bit there. So, she forwarded me over to the chief of police, if you could believe this. Okay. Mr. Riley, this email will signify the receipt of your Freedom of Information request. Due to the extensive amount of information and research needed to compile the information, we will need 4 to 6 weeks to respond to your request. Our records department will notify you of the fee due to the town of Vernon upon receipt of the information. Chief James L. Kenny. Yeah, wow. Mr. Kenny. Good afternoon, Chief. While the owner of this email address and domain is in fact Tim Riley, we could skip that one. I am in need of clarification. This is from the chief again. He wants clarification in the original request. The request was for records, training, and salary benefits over time. I'm asking if the records that are sought are for the 19 years of employment of the officer. Do you have a time period in mind? You know, I think he meant many of those records are archived and not available on electronic media. That's interesting. Please advise me of your thoughts. So the chief, off the rip, was doing okay. He was kind of polite. Let me just check on the comment section for you guys quick and say hello. Let's see. How do I get in here with you? Oh, there we go. All right, so now you got my ugly mug on the horn. We're going to check out your comments here, just because I think it's appropriate. I don't want to leave you guys hanging. I think audience participation is very valuable and essential to actually making real progress. I love the critics. I love the haters. I love the trolls, and I love the fans. I love each and every one of you. News Now Connecticut, thanks again for being here. Bob Bailu, I'm sorry about that. I'm doing the best I can with the size of the screen. That's the best I could do right there, bro. That's why I am taking the time to read it out to you. Yeah, they've Laura Parks. Vernon PD has refused your records request as well. Interesting. I would like to speak with you. If you could email me at studioadmin@tyrantslayerstudios.com. Our team will certainly take a look at that and get back to you. Let's see. Attica! All right, very good. Next movie's mix. This state is beyond corrupt. Hey, I got to tell you, I agree 100%. And with that, I'll sidetrack. I'll pivot real fast from the primary topic here and let you all in on a pretty big secret here. Pretty big news. We have some incredible people coming from around the nation this August to the state of Connecticut to hold a seminar, essentially. A big event, a seminar, where the people can gather and learn how we go about reforming the sheriffs in Connecticut. So if you're interested in being a constitutional sheriff with me, and you're interested in investigating the corrupt governor and the corrupt senators and the corrupt judges and the corrupt courthouses and the corrupt local police departments and the corrupt Connecticut state police departments and all of the corrupt public employee unions and all of the corrupt legislators, and you want to take your life back and you want to hold people responsible and liable and accountable for the damages and for the violation of your freedoms, then you should become a constitutional sheriff with me. And we can police the police, and we can take back our counties, and we can make sure that the shakedown goon squads that they send into our communities are no longer welcome. We'll run them out of town. We'll have our own jurisdictions, and they won't be allowed into our communities to enforce their bogus commercial code, which is nothing when we hold our Constitution over it. You see, we have all the laws and all the rights we need. We don't need more laws. We don't need more rights. We just need the right people out there enforcing our laws. And as far as I could tell, we're going to need sheriffs in Connecticut to do that, because we can't rely on the legislator. We can't rely on Congress in Connecticut. We can't rely on our senators. We can't rely on mayors, the town councils. From top to bottom, this state stinks. You stink, Mr. Kenny. You're a liar. You're a liar, and you're a corrupt cop. You're no chief. You're a fraud, and you're a tyrant. And everybody's going to know it in the next couple, 2-3 weeks, and in the coming months. Everybody's going to know that you're fixing to retire come July, and that you don't give a shit about anybody or any laws, and that you think you're above it all, and you don't care anymore because you're 2 months away from retirement. Well, we'll see how that goes for you, because the people aren't going to be paying some guy that violated them for I don't know how many years you've been there. They're not going to be paying your pension, that's for sure. No one's going to want to, and no one should have to. Anyway, back to the comments. The Ninth Amendment. I love the Ninth Amendment. In fact, I was considering, maybe you guys can help me out. I was considering of starting a t-shirt line, merchandise line. Would you guys buy a shirt that said, how about the Ninth? And then I have my Tyrant Slayer Studios brand logo and name and stuff like that on the back side, right up front. Like, black t-shirt, white letters. What about the Ninth? Would you guys be interested in something like that? Because I could get that stuff done up for you guys if I got some buyers. They are lining up the next tyrant to replace him. Yeah, you bet. And I bet you he's going to be even worse. Which is why it's so incumbent upon us and important for us to keep this pressure on. Which brings me back to these emails here. So here we have the clarification. Salary each year, benefits each year, total overtime each year to date. Let's find out how much money the taxpayers have paid this guy to go around and refuse to investigate crimes, go around, act like he knows the law, pretend to know the law, and actually know nothing about the law, and continue to just violate people's rights, let criminals run free, harass the working class, committing motor vehicle infractions, which are not crimes. He's a big shakedown goon squad guy. That's all he's good for. He ain't protecting anyone, and he ain't serving anyone but himself. So anyway. In addition, is this the additional specific information requested in said email clear, or do you need further clarification? Regarding the records that are for any reason not available electronically, please provide a detailed, not vague explanation, but a detailed explanation as to why, and I'll need you to initial it. Not a big deal, just make sure they are prepared for physical inspection expeditiously. Still nothing from the sheet. That email was sent April 28th, 4:27. So some time goes by. As you can see there, now it's May the 4th. I finally reached back out to him personally in this one. Afternoon, Chief. I'd like a... Oh, no, this isn't my email. This is our investigating representative email. Afternoon, Chief. I'd like a status report on this FOIA request, please. There must be many records ready for inspection at this time. Can you find out what the holdup is, please? Thank you, sincerely, the investigating representative. To whom it may concern, I apologize for the delay in my getting back to you. I was out of the office on training. This email will constitute a partial response. So the chief of police is training 2 months before he retires. What exactly is he training for? I don't believe any of this. This email will constitute a partial response to your FOIA request per Connecticut General Statute. I will itemize the request and response based on document searches of our records. 1. Request for a copy of the department rules and regulations. An electronic copy of the rules and regulations was made on DVD. Perfect. 2. Copies of the email sent, received, or deleted from August 28, 2020 through 9/17/20. Copy of all requested emails are recorded on DVD. Very good. 3. Copies of discipline for Officer McCulley. The Vernon Police Department holds no records of discipline for this officer. Okay. I find it hard to believe that there's not a single disciplinary form. Not one in 19 years. Oh, this guy is just as pure as the driven snow. He's the best cop in the country, this McCulley. I guarantee it. That's why there's no disciplinary forms on him. Okay. Number 4, copies of documents and documents from the personal file of Officer McCulley. The department has copies of documents, including memo, commendations, and education records, numbering 57 pages total. 5. A complete inventory of the department-issued equipment. The Vernon Police Department hold no document, which is a complete inventory of equipment issued to Officer McCulley. Interesting. Well, let's get the impartial document then, shall we? And let's get clarification on why the document is incomplete. We're going to do that. Number 6, body cam footage from 9/15/2020 to 9/16/2020. The requested body camera footage is recorded on DVD media. 7, request for records regarding department-issued equipment damage. Copy of Vernon Police Department case 17-13838 regarding cruiser damage, a 2-page report. So it looks like he's banged up one of his cars. Number 8, information regarding salary benefits and overtime. Records have been requested and still waiting on reply from Vernon Finance Department. Right, because just looking in a database and pulling up numbers could take weeks. That could hitting a couple of keys on the keyboard and pulling up some information that could take weeks. Yeah, okay, pal. Records regarding training. Number 9, records regarding training, time at the firing range, and total sum of discharge rounds. He replies, still waiting on the archive training records. The Vernon Police Department has no records, which gives the total discharge rounds fired. Burn up the ammo, guys. No one knows how much we have or how much we pay for it. Just burn on through it. Fire them guns, boys. And I guess we're going to have to reach out and get further clarification for how many hours he spends there annually as opposed to how many hours he spends in the law library, which is 0. Job application. Number 10, job application for McCulley. A redacted copy of the job application numbering 22 pages, which include the union and officer objection to the release of personal identifying information. You don't have any personal information when you're a public official, pal. Number 11, number of hours annually spent in law libraries. The Vernon Police Department has no records in which show the number of hours spent in a law library. Of course not, because you don't require your officers to go to the law library. How is it that you can have law enforcement officers who don't know about the law? They spend all year and all their time shooting, training to take you down in violence and in physical submissions against your will. They train on how to shoot you. They train on how to tase you, how to hurt you, how to subdue you, how to hog tie you, how to slam you, how to restrict your movement. They even take psychology courses on how to manipulate you, how to smile in your face and pretend that they're your friend while they're illegally searching your car and trying to find a reason to arrest you and generate some money so they can fund their unfunded pension liabilities. Yes, that's right, folks. The police in Connecticut are paid on borrowed dollars. Number 12, records of department cell phone. Officer McCauley does not have a issued cell phone from the town of Vernon, so no records exist. Ha! That's so funny. Because when we follow up today, when we followed up this afternoon, we expressed that we know for a fact that McCauley uses his personal cell phone while operating under the color of law and in his official capacity, which makes his personal phone our public property. So we'll be getting that too. And you can bet your bottom dollar on that, Mr. Kenny. Let's see. He then follows up again. To whom it may concern, I have additional items per your Freedom of Information request. A copy of Officer McCauley's training records. The department has provided copies of training records, which number 720 pages. A printout of the last 100 days calls for service assigned to Officer McCauley. The report was based on your requesting using the date 4/22/21 and consists of 4 pages. A printout of the last 100 arrests. The report was based on your request using a date of and consists of 3 pages. So it looks like they're not going to give me the last 100 arrests and engagements, and I'm going to have to continue pursuing that in compliance with the law. And with a bit of luck, these idiots will not follow the law, and then we can prosecute them. Okay. So, excellent. Thank you. That's our response. Excellent. Thank you. Here's 10 hours ago from today, just about noontime. Chief, do you have a direct line or an email address to Miss Lee for me to use when coordinating? Also, you've stated in your acknowledgement letter that McCauley does not have a department-issued cell phone. That's a real shame, because now we're going to have to audit his personal phone, as he does, in fact, use it while operating under the color of law, while operating in his official capacity. I'd like the same information sought after upon the potential department-issued phone discovered upon his once personal phone, which evidently he's dumb enough to use while operating in official capacity. Your officers aren't too bright, are they? Our laws make everything upon his device public record. Note, a complete and thorough investigation into his phone records will soon be underway, and actions upon this device as of this moment forward, i.e., deleting history, concealing or deleting data, transferring data, is a felony. This device and the data on it is now public property. That's the law. You, Chief James Kenny, seize the phone for auditing purposes, blah, 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 blah. Let me know when it's available for inspection. Chief James Kenny and McCauley, in compliance with our laws, you have just been officially put on notice. Don't go committing any felonies now. So here you go. This matter, from today, 10 hours ago, 12. This matter has been referred to the town attorney, Mr. Lois Spadaccini. I don't know what the hell that is. It looks Italian to me. This matter has been referred to the town attorney, Mr. Louis Spadaccini. His email is listed above. Please direct any further correspondence to him and have your group of attorneys contact him. I will not be responding to any further correspondence in this matter. So we sent him a reply to that today, a couple hours later at 2:30 in the afternoon, which reads, Chief, you have no business being involved in the records request to begin with. It was your incompetent and nescient custodian of records who got you involved, not me. Evidently, she thinks she can pick and choose what public information we can obtain. Yet another example of your officers, law enforcement staff, custodians who have no idea what they're doing and extremely limited knowledge of the law. What makes either of you think she is not required by law to provide said records? I don't need to speak with nor coordinate with the town attorney to acquire what our laws require your custodian of records procure. Failure to meet my lawful request will lead to criminal charges on you and her. Despite this, we are looking forward to talking with your buffer, your goon, dubbed town attorney. Let's hope for your sake he's not as stupid as you are and your officers are. Are you a burnout, too tired, too old, and too incompetent to effectively service the people in matters of public interests? Is it because you've convinced yourself you can collect a pension and retire on our money come July that you think you can do whatever you want and ignore our laws? You've made a serious mistake in your calculations. We are honored to publish all of our correspondence and disclose to the public what a failure, what a tyrant, and what a laughingstock you and most, but not all, of your officers are. The fish rots from the head down, and you, sir, are rotten to the core, tainting your whole department. If only you and your officers actually knew the law as much as you know your own arrogance, perhaps what's to come for you could have been avoided. We will be seeing you real soon, Chief Rooney. Be sure to smile for the cameras and prepare to answer real questions. What an embarrassment you are. A simple records request pursuant to the Freedom of Information Act is even too much for you and your police department. Try and protect your criminal officers all you want. The law is on our side. What a story this will be, too. Check it out. It's going all across the nation this evening, and we'll be following you forever. We don't expect a response. We are just putting you and your criminal coworkers on notice. You can expect thousands of these emails in the coming days and weeks. The United States Press and Company. So, with that, I'll kind of relax a little bit here. We'll get back on the frame here. With that, I got a ton of stuff coming out on Vernon this week. This is just the very, very, very the tippity tip of the big old iceberg that's slowly moving at glacier speed. But at the end of the road, the people are going to see a major victory here in the state of Connecticut for the first time in many, many moons. And the town of Vernon will actually be a much safer place because the people won't have so many corrupt cops to worry about anymore. In fact, we have a lot to look forward to in this state, like becoming constitutional sheriffs and rather than letting internal affairs write their own little fantasies about what unfolds in their departments in their little corrupt investigations, resulting from mountains of complaints on behalf of the people they're supposed to be serving. We'll just go out and do our own investigations and arrest these criminals ourselves. How about that? Power to the people, huh? How about it? Who wants to be a constitutional sheriff and make this the Constitution state again? Who wants to join me in August down in Bridgeport? You know, who wants to join me later this week and share their experience about Vernon PD? I know there's some of you out there who would love to get on board CT News Now, right? I know you must care a little bit, right? Or News Now CT. I'm sorry, sir. News Now CT. We'll check the comment section. Nick's Movies Mix is lighting it up. You know what? Let's bring Nick's Movies Mix into the fold here. This is perhaps one of the most, perhaps the single most eccentric geniuses I know. Fortunately, he lives here with us in the state of Connecticut. It must be frustrating as all hell being such a brilliant mind and seeing all this stuff happen all around us all the time. And not really being able to do anything about it. But anyway, he's a dear friend of mine. He's a great musician. He's a phenomenal drummer. Crazy Mary's the name of the band. If you haven't heard of it, well, where the hell you been living? I've been jamming out to Crazy Mary for years. Anyway, without further ado, we'll kind of lighten things up a little bit. We'll get off of the chief of Vernon Police for the remainder of the evening. I've got a ton of stuff coming out this week that you guys are going to love. Records, real world evidence, tangible stuff of the nefarious activities and the obnoxious, egregious criminal behavior of the Vernon PD. Anyway, without further ado, here I shall add our dear friend.
Hey, I
Nick's
thought we were
movie
going
snacks.
widescreen.
Oh yeah, let's do that. There we go.
That's better.
Mm-hmm. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have live with us in studio. Shall I call you Nick's Movies Mix or Nick on drums? Do you have a? Do you
You
have
can
a?
just call me Nick, Tim.
All right,
And I'm
so,
going to take
ladies.
this mask off because you're fully vaccinated, right?
Yeah, right. Let's not
Anyway,
use the V word. No
this
V
is a
words. No C
shameless
words. Hey,
promotion.
and with that mention of the vaccinations, I do have to say and be very careful here on the unstable, heavily censored YouTube platform that no, Tyrant Slayer Studios is not endorsing any information that is contradictory to the World Health Organization or local health experts regarding COVID-19 or the COVID-19 vaccines. Okay, so we're not going to mention vaccines. We're not going to
We
talk about
aren't?
COVID. No,
I
we're
didn't
not
know there
going to.
were any rules. You should have sent me the rules.
I'm not. No medical information on this channel. Not on this stream. Any medical
So,
information that comes out on this channel will be validated with documentation going forward from here on out.
so
But anyway,
listen, just a quick shameless promotion. If anybody wants, your audience probably doesn't buy a lot of face masks, but if anybody does, just go to Redbubble. Anyway.
yeah, right on. Redbubble, there you have it, folks. For those of you who are wearing masks, I have to kind of side with my buddy here, who's never steered me wrong before. I personally don't wear a mask. I'm not recommending anyone not wear a mask. I'm not recommending you do wear a mask. I have no statement on that. But if you are looking for a mask and you would like to make a great purchase, I suggest you follow Nick's advice.
Tim, I apologize for my confusion right now, but I'm trying to decide whether to. I think I should be on YouTube if I want to see the comments.
Oh, you can pull up.
I apologize for this.
Yeah,
Give
if
me a
you
quick
can open up a
second.
second window,
Okay, that's
stay there in
muted,
live. Yeah.
and now this is unmuted. Oh, but that's not going to work because of the time lag. All right, I apologize for this.
That's okay.
Mute that. So I just won't be
Let's
able to see the comments.
Yeah, that's a good idea. In fact, let's
That's
get right back to the
kind of
comments. It
annoying.
looks like we got Al Jazeera Nazis who stated, "When and where are you sure if a cop is a cop? He takes people's rights and covers for his criminal cop rents. So I don't think you've seen one." Okay, so it looks like this person is trying to say something to the effect of, "I've never seen a police officer engaged in police misconduct or actually break the law." And as we all know, in my video that I captured on May the 20th of 2020, all of those marshals and the state police officer were breaking the law and violating my rights. And all of those officers are being investigated, the marshals and the state trooper, Trooper Wilson. I bet you he thinks he's gotten away with it, and then I've forgotten about him and stuff because things have been rather stagnant on that front for some time. But that's not because I don't have a case. That's because I have more pertinent and more prevalent cases that I'm contending with currently in court for. So,
Hey, Tim,
we'll
I
get
have a
back.
question.
Yes, sir.
I am curious. Let's say you're a police officer. You can carry a personal phone so that your personal family can reach you if necessary, right?
Yeah, of course. You
But
you
you're
can
claiming
do
that this
you.
officer used their personal phone for police business?
Well, see, here's the thing.
That's my question. Just asking.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. Any officer can bring his personal cell phone to work with him, but what that officer needs to realize is when he or she does that, that phone in any sort of business they conduct on that phone during the hours of which they are operating in official capacity makes anything they do on that phone public information because they are
You mean they
operating
call
as
their
an
wife about what they need to pick up at the grocery
That's
store on their way
correct.
home?
Yep. Yeah, exactly. So, like, let's say I'm at the police department and a cop wants to do what we see on the internet all the time. Oh, I can film you too. Huh, I can do that too. See? Oh, yeah. See? See, I got a camera too. See? Yeah, but what the cop doesn't realize is when they pull out their personal phone and do that with their little childish, petulant retaliation attempt, that the picture that they took and everything that they just recorded and everything else on that phone is now public record. And when I put that officer on notice and say, "Oh, cool, thanks for taking my picture," I'm going to pull records on that along with everything else you've been doing on that phone because it's now public record because you're using it as a public official. You don't have a personal
Yeah.
cell phone when
Okay.
you're
Okay.
operating in public.
Versus if he calls somebody at his, I hate to harp on this point, but if he called you made it sound like anything he does on his personal phone while he's working,
Yeah.
you have a right to, and I
He's
don't
working for
understand
me.
that.
Yes,
I
that's
can
right. He's
understand
working
if
for
he
you.
if
He's
he
working
if
for
he if
us.
he's filming you, yes. If he's filming you, yes, of course. But
If he's doing anything
you
on
know,
his phone.
this is probably not the most important
If you see a police
question of your
officer on his cell
situation anyway.
phone, well, it's not. It's important for parts of a case that I can't mention here right now.
Okay, that's
There
fair.
could
That's
be
fine.
records on a police officer's cell phone that tie things together that you could otherwise not tie together. So if you see a cop using a cell phone and you want to know what he's doing on it, you can pull records on that cell phone. If you see a cop writing a police report and you want to know what's in the police report, you can pull records on that police report.
Yeah, now that you're making me think about it, if you're working for the government, you do not have freedom of speech at the time you're working for the government. I was involved with a court case at the Connecticut Supreme Court, and it was about, I think I can mention her name now, Ursula Milder, and she won, and they tried to say that she was working when she was at a meeting, and she wasn't working. She was acting as a citizen, and so she did have freedom of speech.
Yes,
and they
correct.
fired her wrongly. They said, "You don't have freedom of speech. You work for the government." Well, she was not working in a capacity at the time. She was there as a citizen in a meeting, and she spoke her mind. She wasn't on the clock, and she won. She won over $250,000, almost $500,000.
In a wrongful termination suit?
It was a
In the state
wrongful
of
termination
Connecticut?
suit, and I was on the jury, and I could talk about it
Wow.
now. And I did what the judge said. He said, "Do not follow this. Do not Google this." And had I Googled it, I would have known that the guy who lost was a Scientologist, and we, the jury, totally found for her, gave her all the money that she would have gotten, but we only fined him $1,000 because we didn't feel that he needed to be, we had punitive damages, and we kept him at 1,000. Had I known he was a Scientologist,
Oh, that would have went way up.
I would have been like, I don't like Scientology. I'm gonna fuck this dude.
Well, and now you understand why the juries are asked. And I'm glad you're an you're a man of integrity.
But mind you, as far as the main part of the case, that she should receive restitution for being fired wrongfully, that he was a Scientologist didn't change that at all. Just the punitive damages.
Did the defense for the Scientologist bring up it's just one quick question about this, the at-will employment doctrine of the state of Connecticut? Was there any mention of the fact that this is an at-will employment state during this case?
I can answer that question thusly. It's 2021. This happened in approximately 2006. So that's approximately 15 years ago. And I can't remember for the life of me. I remember little details, like the lawyer comes in and he says, "Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize. My suit doesn't match my pants." And I had to really strain to look because they were almost the same. He must have 27 suits in his goddamn closet. And this idiot lawyer, who was actually the lawyer who won, and he was an idiot. But in this morning, he's like, I'm apologizing that my suit doesn't match my pants. And they were almost same color. But the other thing is the judge comes in. You know how the judge meets the jury after the case is done? I didn't know that. So they're like, "Oh, here comes the judge." And the judge sits down and the judge says, "Well, you just saved a lot of people a lot of money because the last offer from the state of Connecticut to this woman who was fired wrongfully was the exact same amount that almost the same amount that you awarded her. And I knew that it was the exact same amount. So I just thought it was interesting that the judge made a mistake like that, speaking to us. It was the exact same amount.
Now, what do you make of the back and forth between the custodian of records here at Vernon PD and the chief? Like, if you had to speculate why this woman even forwarded me, why the custodian forwarded me over to the chief of police to begin with, was it because I was asked, like, what would you speculate that was about? Why wouldn't she just do her job in compliance with the law? Why would she feel the need to go, I need to escalate this up to the chief? He's asking for information about Officer McCauley. Like, what is it?
I can't really speak to it, to be very honest with you. As you know, I was confused from the get-go because I brought you to another station and you successfully received...
It was the same station. Yeah,
it was the same station. Well, thank you for the clarification. And as you reminded me on that visit, you got what you came for, and I was there, and okay, end of that story.
Mm-hmm.
And now, why? It's a very good question. I wish I had a good answer.
Well, the difference between this case and when you physically went to the department with me is we were pulling records on citizens when we went. This time I'm pulling records on one of their officers, and this is look at how different it is. Remember how nice and pleasant everything was? Yeah, look at how different this is. They got me forwarded to the city attorney.
Before we go any further with this discussion, and I can only speak to this particular case so much, I do want to go on record as saying the following. I am of the opinion that bad cops make the news a hell of a lot more than good cops. I have a feeling that it has everything to do with which town you live in. I don't have a sign that says "Back the Blue," but I happen to be a police explorer when I was in high school, and I got to know each and every one of the police officers. And one police officer in particular, all of my friends said, "Oh man, that cop, all he wants to do is bust us." Well, I got to know this cop, and this cop said, "You know what? You guys think all I want to do is bust you left and right. But if I get a phone call if I get a phone call from hold on. Okay. Speaking of phone call, from a citizen and then you have a bonfire in their backyard, I got to go. Anyway, back the blue. Okay. So back the blue. At the same time,
I don't think. First of all, I don't think any officer should be wearing a patch that desecrates the American flag on my uniform, on our uniforms. Those police wear our uniforms, and if they put that thin blue line patch, the little gang symbol on my uniform, I find that completely inappropriate.
Interesting. Yeah,
it's totally. You can't desecrate the flag. That little piece of artwork they have hanging in their lobby, okay, I can run with that, but don't you dare put some desecrated copy of the American flag on my uniform while you're working.
I wanna jump back to what I was saying because I didn't get to complete my thought, and I just want to complete the thought that newsflash. Somebody commented on YouTube. They look out for each other. Well, think about it. I'm a musician. We look out for each other. We don't murder people and try to cover it up. I think all groups look out for each other. I don't think that obviously that is the issue, but I hate to bring up a comedian without my own original thought but I'm going to do it. Chris Rock, the comedian, said there are certain professions where you can't have bad apples. You can't have bad apples flying planes, and you shouldn't have bad apples as police officers. And I'll go a step further. First of all, I want to reiterate that the police officers in my life, in the small town in Connecticut, I've never had a single complaint about one of them, although one of them thought it was a school, not a church. And that's a church. That's a church, okay? And if you know my town, you know what I'm talking about. You got a big old church with a lot of little churches around it. And my high school never taught me about my town, but the guy who made keys at Caldor, and I know I'm all over the map here, but I want to bring it back to reality, and this is the point I'd like to make I shouldn't use my hands.
It's okay to talk with your hands. It's
These
good.
are my bucky balls. Anyway,
Don't eat them,
so
folks. They will
so
kill you.
so I just want to reiterate: the police officers in my life have served the public. They have served and protected. Having said that, it's so obvious that we have a problem with military police, and I want to make this point, and I'd love to know if I have any support with this one, and I know I do.
Yeah, real quick, because I got a
Yeah,
question for you too.
real quick. When it comes to speeding or going through a red light or any kind of traffic violation, besides maybe drunk driving, because that could kill somebody, and I guess reckless speeding. But I'm to make my point, if it's just like a stop sign or a little bit of a speeding or tailgating, whatever it is, they pull you over and they've got a gun in there on their.
Yeah, you
They
can get
pull you over
shot
with a,
during a
with a
traffic stop
they could
today.
take a picture of your goddamn
Right.
license plate and they could say that's what they do in
They can mail
Switzerland.
you a
Okay,
ticket and do it
that's what
all
they do in
safely.
Switzerland.
Right. They don't have to
And
stop on the side of the
and
highways.
just
They
to
don't have to
finish this
endanger
point real
everyone's
quick,
life.
the phrase defund the police. No, don't defund the police, but think about the job that the police are doing and think about how many people have mental issues. I have mental issues. I
Right.
admit it. I am a
Okay.
person who's
With
been
that, I think
mentally
it's a good time to
unstable. And
stop
if
you
you
there
know
and
me, you
talk
know
about,
that.
well, I think it's a great time to stop. Focus on how
See?
many people with mental issues have been executed, laughed at, bullied, picked on, illegally incarcerated by police because the police aren't the brightest people. Let's put it like that. Many police today have just a high school degree. In fact, one of the greatest contrasts between the police of today and the police of your youth, Nick, is we have a militarized police force now. They're buying all the military
Yes.
surplus. I
Yes.
mean,
And it's wrong. It's
yeah.
wrong.
See, the police back in your day,
Unnecessary.
they knew your father's name, and if they caught you at Suburban Park drinking and shit, they're like, "Hey, I know your dad. You better get out of here. Don't let me see you again." You know, and they would help the citizens. See, now it's all about money and unfunded pension liabilities and state budgets and town budgets and public employee unions and backroom deals, and it's not about the people. We're the ones they get all the money from, so they have to stop us for rolling through a stop sign. Oh, the bulb that you never ever really see or check at night when you go to drive your car, right above your license plate, one of the bulbs is out, so that's $175. And like for a bulb, they can clearly read your plate. They clearly pulled you over. They got all your information, but that bulb, boy, oh boy, what a real problem. That's real dangerous. You're risking everyone's life driving around with a burnt out license plate bulb. We have to stop you, hold you at gunpoint. As a matter of fact, do you mind if I run a canine unit around your car? Do you mind if I search? Because if you deny access, I'll just get a canine. I'll make you sit here for a half hour and get my dog out. We'll see how you feel then. You know, it's all a shakedown. This isn't law enforcement. This is a shakedown. All of it is a shakedown. Commercial code, you can't have a crime without a victim. Okay? So if I roll through a stop sign and there's no victim and I didn't cause an accident and everybody's still safe and traffic is still flowing, what am I being stopped for? If it's not a shakedown, what am I being stopped for? There is no crime. Okay? So part of becoming constitutional sheriff in my county will consist of locking the police, the local and state police, out of my county. You're not allowed in my county to do traffic enforcement because motor vehicle
Not
infractions
necessary. It's
is
not
not a
necessary.
crime. Right? It's not necessary. It's a cost we don't need to burden. It's a cost we don't need to incur, and we don't need you babysitting us and how we're driving. Sure, if there's a maniac doing 120 miles an hour down Route 6, well, call the sheriff's
Or
office.
drunk driving.
Yeah, or drunk driving. Sure. I mean, there's situations where innocent people are put in harm's way because of someone else's poor choices. But that doesn't mean you get to set up Nazi roadblocks and demand papers, ask me where I'm going, where I'm coming from, where I work, and get a whole life's history and search all of my property and possessions and things over what? Over a DUI checkpoint and me saying, I don't want to roll down my window. Oh, yeah. They'll smash your window and rip you out of your car and arrest you because you're not giving them your name. You don't have to give your name. Like, the cops are out of control. Vernon Police Department is out of control. And it all stems from their corrupt chief, James Kenney, who's slated to retire here in July. And we're going to be doing our best, our due diligence, to make sure he doesn't collect a dime. I almost lost my language there. He won't
The
collect the
only thing
dime.
I know about Vernon is the Vernon Diner.
Well, the mayor out there, I've been given some good information here. I'm going to go ahead and look it up. The
All
mayor
right.
out there likes to sweep up all of the dirt at Vernon PD and hide it under the rug and make sure that none of the officers out there ever get in any trouble. And this is coming from a viable source who has,
Yeah.
I don't know, 10 years of experience with the Vernon
Yeah.
PD. I think he's a local resident.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
As you know, I can't speak to Vernon in particular. I'm only giving my opinion about, my experience. And, I think absolutely positively, what you do is crucial and necessary.
Dan Champagne, Mayor Dan Champagne, who is also a state senator, he's going down too. So let the heavens fall and justice be done. These people from top to bottom are dirty, dirty, dirty. Uh, and it's everywhere. It's not just police. That's just one small element of where we have to focus. The people really have a monumentous task ahead of them. The people who truly want to be involved, truly fighting for change, the people who truly care about their kids and their communities and stuff, the people like me, the people like you, the people like my audience members. We really have a lot of work to do. We have to be the Board of Education. We can't keep complaining about the Board of Education. We have to become the Board of Education. We can't keep complaining about Dan Champagne. We have to be that senator. We have to be that mayor. We have to be the chief. We have to be the police. We'll be the sheriffs. We don't need police. There's a stigma about defund the police. Even you kind of mentioned it to a degree. But I think the definition of defund the police actually has, it's a different meaning to different people. When I say defund police, I don't mean take all the cops away and blah, blah, blah. What I mean is we can trim a lot of pork off of these pigs. and I mean that by we don't need the traffic crap. There's a million and one different ways to do things. We don't need the forces so packed up with high-ranking people moving out fast and just bringing in the cadets and the new guys that aren't even ready to be on the streets and patrolling and stuff, just so that the budget cycle can keep going and the money can keep flowing at this rate. They hire quota hires. You got female officers are perhaps the single most dangerous police officers in the United States of America. They don't know what they're doing. They're poorly trained. 9 out of 10 are quota hires. We need more females on the force. They're going to be, it's always about money. So, or politics or something of that nature. It's never about what's actually better for the community. And these quota hires go out and kill people. They kill each other. They got cops in crossfire and they're shooting their guns, because they're scared of some guy that reached for his wallet. It's just incredible. So we got a lot of work to do, and I'm honored to be able to focus on Vernon PD. Finally, it's been addressed for a very long time. I mean, my channel's only a year old, but I've been hearing a lot about Vernon PD for, I don't know, maybe 6 months, and I'm getting more and more of it. And with my team's latest involvement, I think they've got what they deserve coming to them.
Hey Tim, you may have covered this, and I apologize if you did, but I'm aware of a time when you were filming and you told me that you were physically assaulted by a police officer.
Yeah, it
was that a Vernon
assault.
Police Department? Was that? I need a clarification. Was that Vernon Police?
No, this was inside of the courtroom in Hartford.
Okay.
On May the 20th.
Hold on now, quick second.
And it was a martial, and it wasn't an assault. It was a simple battery.
Simple battery. Let me just ask you one more time. Wasn't there a time you were outside on the sidewalk?
Yeah, that was in front of the courthouse in May. That was with Trooper Wilson, who was denying me access to my public building because I refused to wear a mask.
Yeah. Okay, so...
And I have an exemption for the mask, and the mask isn't required. It's just the people in their hysteria think that their opinions and their make-believe rules somehow trump the Constitution and my rights and my health and my due process and everything that they were obstructing by denying me access to my courthouse.
Okay, listen, I just want, for my sake, and perhaps I'm not the only listener who would like a clarification. I'm not exactly sure what the Vernon police did most recently. Can you just get me up to speed on that, because I may have missed a little bit of tonight's
Well, basically,
presentation.
I did a FOIA request. Everything
Yeah.
seemed to be going according to what the law
After we had
says
a
it
very
should.
successful visit at the Vernon Police Department, you
Yep,
and I.
yep. And then, as of April of this year, that was back in September of last year that
Okay,
you and I
okay. Oh,
went.
wait, hold on one quick second. I know this was about getting information about a police officer versus a citizen. You
Yes.
just said that.
Right.
What was the incident involving the police officer? That's what I need a clarification on.
Well, I'm going to bring that up and the actual police report that was written by Officer McCauley up.
Tomorrow.
I think maybe not tomorrow, the day after. I'm going to
Okay.
have a
You know
whole
what? I
bunch of
forgot you
actual
already
Vernon
answered this
police records to
question.
put up.
You already answered this question. That's why I was confused. I
This
apologize.
Macaulay wrote a criminal report on me about that day that we went to Vernon PD in September, which we have video of, in which I'm carrying myself completely professionally and very
Yes.
calm,
Yes.
very appropriate. And
I,
in
I I
his
will speak
report,
to that.
I'm an agitator, I'm
Okay,
a
hold on, hold on, hold on,
provocateur.
hold on, hold on. I just want to speak to one thing for what it's worth, and perhaps you recall this. I witnessed you in the lobby, and then at one point you went through that door. Once you went through that door, I can't be a witness, and
Yeah, no, yeah,
maybe that
exactly.
was by design. I'm
Uh,
not saying.
That's
I'm
fine. I
not
got body cam.
saying.
I've got body camera footage, and I might even be
Yeah,
able to get office video of the room
yeah,
that I was in. So that entire meeting that I had
yeah.
with Officer Ship for Brains, I mean Macaulay, who refuses to enforce the law and respond to criminal complaints based on his opinions and misconceptions and his arrogance. Um, basically, a complete video will show what our exchange was in there, and then I'm going to show you what his report says. And what's
Hmm.
most striking about it is his written report is not what happened at all. Um,
Yeah, they claim you were belligerent, and
oh well, they claim that here. Let me see if I can bring it up for you guys here.
because even though you were behind a door, if you raised your voice,
Oh no, there was no raising of the voice. I was
they're not
completely
claiming
calm.
that.
I
No,
conducted
are they
myself.
claiming you raised your voice? Are they
No, no,
claiming
he's
you
not
raised your voice?
claiming any of that. He's claiming that Tim Riley likes to start trouble. Tim
Well, you are a
Riley.
trouble starter.
Tim Riley likes to agitate things. So
Mm,
going into the Vernon PD lobby, Tim Riley was videotaping in our lobby because he likes to start trouble. Like this is what he
mm.
says in his
Yeah,
police report. See,
it's like they don't
we are in the
understand the.
lobby. We were in the
Yeah,
lobby recording creating an adjective record of a
yeah,
public records request. We are
yeah.
engaged in a First Amendment protected activity, and he felt the need to write a criminal police report about me and say that I was trying to start trouble, agitate, and provoke things by filming in their lobby.
On that day where I was there, where I brought you.
Yeah, yep.
Well, see,
That's what
you
his
never
police
told me
report.
this. I'm
No,
learning
well,
about
I
this right
wasn't aware
now
of it. I
in
wasn't
front of your
aware of it.
audience.
I was not aware of it until a couple months ago.
Uh-huh.
Uh, so it seems to me that this guy has a relationship with a Miss Priscilla Perry, who is also the plaintiff in the case that I'm currently in. And I think there's going to be a great number of connections between her and this officer that will be discovered in all of these records. Um, I mean, for him to feel compelled to write a criminal report about me pulling a Freedom of Information request in the lobby with a video camera is kind of alarming. And when that record found its way into the hands of Priscilla's attorney, I found that to be very strange. So
Mm.
this guy took what I did in the lobby of Vernon PD in September of last year, requesting records on Priscilla and her boyfriend, who were both doing heroin in front of my child, okay, and soliciting sex, prostituting and stuff. This is what I went to report in that back room, okay? These are the crimes I've been made aware of. These are the names of witnesses who witnessed the solicitation for sex and received these photos and these, you know, solicitations. And here are all the people involved. Here's what I can give you today. Here's what we can coordinate and meet up and talk about as you investigate. No, I'm not investigating that. No, that's not a crime. Like, you wouldn't believe this guy's attitude there. Totally stonewalls me, refused to take my criminal report. And when I asked him, are you a police officer? And he said, yes. And I said, I'm a citizen and I'm reporting a crime. Are you going to investigate it? He stood up and goes, this meeting is officially over. So I looked up. So I got up. I looked at him. I asked him if his body camera was rolling. He said, yes. I said, have a nice day. And then I come out and I find he's written a criminal report on me. I haven't committed a crime, but he's got a criminal report written on me for pulling records that day and trying to file a criminal report, relative to a real crime. See, I didn't commit a crime and there's a criminal report written on me. My ex is committing crimes and I can't get this shit for brains to investigate these crimes.
Okay, so just for my clarification, you were successful in getting the records pulled that you wanted to get pulled. You were unsuccessful in reporting a crime.
I reported the crime. The officer refused to acknowledge the report. That's why I'm going after him now.
That's up.
Yeah, I know. And it's not the first time he's done it. I'm not the only person he's done this to. And even the chief of police, because I reached out to him once I got his email through all of this back and forth with my team and everything, I wrote right to the chief of police and I reported a crime just 2 days ago and he refused to acknowledge it. So I said to him, basically, we'll go over all of that in a couple of days. I got a lot to cover for you guys
so stay tuned.
In regard to Vernon PD, but basically they pick and choose what laws they're going to enforce and when and who they're going to enforce them upon. If you're given, jeez, I almost said something that would probably get this video removed. I wouldn't put anything past a police officer. Let's put it like that. If a male chauvinist, arrogant, narcissistic, sociopathic cop stumbles across a drug-riddled woman who's prostituting and will do anything to stay out of trouble, I'm not going to infer anything, but let's just say anything can happen. Anything can happen. And when a relationship like that starts, it would be one of very few explanations as to why certain people are treated certain ways and others are treated other ways. And the only way to find out what's really going on is to look at the records. So we're going to find out when this guy talks to Priscilla, how many times they've talked to each other, what they talked about, what she said to him, what he said to her. Oh, don't worry, and blah, 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 and I'll write this criminal report, and you can use that, and it'll help you in court. Like what possessed this guy to write a criminal report on me in September of last year for pulling a public records request in the lobby with a video camera? That warrants a criminal report, according to this guy? Isn't that great? And now that criminal report, they're going to try to use that against me in court in a family case? Like, can you guys believe that? Like, okay, you guys want to play hardball with me? You have no idea who I am. Let's play. You're going to lose. I'm going to win because I never lose and the law is on my side. So good luck. And that's basically what this is all about, is the Vernon PD, not just me, but with many other citizens who I hear from on almost a regular basis, is lawless and tyrannical. The chief himself is a tyrant. You're a tyrant, Chief James Kenney. You're a loser. You're a criminal. You're a fraud. And your department shows it. The actions of your officers is a complete resemblance of you. The fish rots from the head down, and you are rotten. And that's that. So we're going hard.
Gotta slay them.
Yeah, we're going to slay the tyrants. Right up to the mayor. Right up to the mayor and right up to our senator that's going to try to cover up for him. Right now, how does the chief of police take control over a records request with the custodian of records and then take it from his desk and go, oh, screw you. You're going to have to talk to the town attorney about this. Okay. All right. Well, let's let the clock tick down and then I'll prosecute you with federal law, for failing to acknowledge and provide said records. All I did was ask, hey, can we coordinate? Do you got an email from Miss Lee so I can coordinate when we can come pick up these records and inspect these records, blah, blah. No response. Oh, I'm not answering you anymore. You have to take this up with our city attorney. Why? Because I'm pulling records on your dirty cop? Or because you're afraid you're going to get... Like, what is the problem here? What is the problem? What is the obstruction for? If police aren't dirty, then why are they trying to hide all their records? If there's nothing to hide, then why can't the people see it? If you're not doing nefarious things on your personal cell phone while you're at work, it shouldn't be a problem to let the public take a look. So that's where we're at with Vernon PD, folks. And
I'll be right back.
Take your time, sir. I'll be here. I do appreciate everybody coming out and taking the views. This is running a little long. I do appreciate the support, though. Let's take a look at these comments, folks. If you care to, you can donate to Tyrant Slayer Studios and help fund all of these projects. None of this stuff is free. The studio I've built here is certainly not free. The gas, the travel, sometimes even records cost money themselves. Sometimes. So, I'm not asking anyone for anything. But if we do have some givers out there and you folks would like to donate to Tyrant Slayer Studios, you can do that at paypal.me/Tyrant Slayer Studios. Or you can cash app me at cash.app/ the $sign TSS 1776. If you have an instance in which you've been involved with Vernon PD or any police department for that matter, and you believe you were unfairly treated or that the cops violated their oath to the Constitution or violated your rights or anything of that nature, email me, studioadmin@tyrantslayerstudios.com. We want to hear from you. We want to fix the problems, not just locally but nationally, and we want to be a part of the movement that is barreling across this nation like a tsunami right now. Mainstream media is going down. Okay, we're where it's at. The people need to make their own journalists and journalism now because the corporations ain't doing it. There's too many vested interests, special interests, big companies, big tech. They're all just trying to stay on top all the time. They're not actually producing anything that we need. They're just taking advantage of their positions, and we need to break them all down. We need to shake them all down. We need reliable news. We need real journalism. Nick, I believe you might have worked for the Hartford Courant, so I will try to say this as respectfully as I can. I am not a fan of the Hartford Courant, and they
we know.
They posted a story today about the yard goats.
Okay.
Things finally returning back to normal, and the yard goats pulled out a victory with 3,077 people in attendance. La la la.
Yeah.
They make it seem like the Connecticut citizens are dying to go out and watch a baseball game, and that's just not.
Oh, I think some are.
The people that got their tickets from their employers, they all wanted to go. But I'm going to guess.
They were all employee tickets? You know something I don't then.
Oh, yes. I hear about the Yard Goats tickets being given out by all the big insurance companies. We got Cigna in Connecticut. They buy all these tickets and hand them out. You got the police departments that buy all these tickets and hand them. It's public employees and their unions buy up the tickets. And then they go, oh, here, you guys are doing such a great job. Take your family to the game this weekend. It's going to be so nice. It's going to be so good. And then the Hartford Courant comes out and publishes like, oh, the Connecticut economy is starting to get back to normal. Look, we had 3,100 people at a baseball game. Normalcy is returning. What a wonderful world it is. No, that's all a complete fairy tale and a complete deception. Like those tickets weren't bought by Joe Johnny Citizen. Those tickets were bought by a big corporation or a public employees union and handed out to the families to pack the stands so that the Current can go out there or Channel 3 and go, look, the governor's doing so good in Connecticut. People are back to normal, watching baseball with their families. Yes, wonderful Connecticut, challenging COVID and beating it to, It's just, I'm so sick and tired of bad news and yellow journalism. And this is why we have Tyrant Slayer Studios, Activism News Network, John Felix, Rogue Nation, Wolfie Gladly, James Madison Audits, Solo Yacker. I mean, It's time for the people to have their voice. The corporations, big tech, and yellow journalism companies, entities, they've all had their time in the light, and they're overdone. They're burnt. They're burnt out. It's all about money. It's if it bleeds, it leads. It's all about what's on fire, what's gonna get the people to be scared. How much fear can we produce today to keep them watching? Oh, we got very scary news about the virus, guys, but you'll have to tune in at 5 o'clock to hear it. Everybody's like scared, and I got to see what we got to be scared about next. Like, I'm not trying to scare anybody here. I'm not spreading disinformation. I'm not writing fairy tales. I'm showing you everything from start to finish, what I'm involved in, what I'm working on, and I'm actually really looking into things. That's why I know, and the Hartford Courant either does know and pretends not to know, or it does know and doesn't care that its story is bullshit.
Okay, Tim, let me respond. When I worked at the Hartford Courant, I did get awarded some tickets to see the second to last Hartford Whalers game. So you can see it's been a while since I worked at the Hartford Courant. What I want to know is, while I was listening to you, I was looking at the article, and it says 50% capacity. I'm just curious. You seem to know. How do you know that it was all corporate given tickets and you're saying no citizen bought a ticket to a baseball game? And is this your greatest complaint about the Hartford Courant?
Okay, great question. Let me clarify. No, it is not my greatest complaint about the Hartford Courant. It is just one of many. I don't know 100% that every single ticket was purchased by a corporation or a public employees union. But what I said on my Facebook today about it under that story was either the vast majority of those sold tickets were, like, anyone who was in attendance, the vast majority of them got their tickets from their boss, from Cigna, from Hartford Hospital, from Wyndham Hospital, from Bacchus
And
Hospital.
how do you know this? How do you know this?
Because all of the employees of these places talk about how they get the Yard Goats tickets from their employers. All of them do. I know a personal friend who went to the game who works at a hospital. I doubt he paid for his ticket.
Okay.
Oh, here you go for the frontline workers. Oh, you've been working so hard. Oh, this one's for you guys. And then they send their media out and they go, wow, look, things are normal. No, this is all bought and paid for staged corporate bullshit, like it always is. Like it always is.
I got to say something. I know you, you know me, and I know your take. It's just I'm getting a little disconnect because, correct me if I'm wrong, you would have zero fear to go to a baseball game today or yesterday or the day before or 2 months ago because you don't, and so I'm just a little curious about your argument here because personally, I just want to say one thing about the Hartford Courant, and again, I know I have trouble focusing on one subject, but I do want to focus on the Hartford Courant for a quick second. As you know, I worked there for approximately 12 years and 3 months, and I do want to talk about the newspaper for a second. And believe you me, you'll see that I'm not like defending the Hartford Courant. I am explaining what I know about the Hartford Courant. And it is the nation's oldest newspaper, and that does matter. And George Washington did advertise land for sale in our newspaper, the Hartford Courant. And Thomas Jefferson did sue us for libel because we called him a French sympathizer. And guess what? Thomas Jefferson was a French sympathizer, and he lost. Okay, so you can hate the Hartford Courant. Now, having said that, there's a book that anyone who's interested in the Hartford Courant should read, and it's called Spiked. And I'll spell it Spiked, Spiked. And it's about a time at the Hartford Courant that was a dark time at the Hartford Courant. And it was a time when the advertising department told the news department what they could and couldn't print. And the book is called Spiked. And it was a dark time at the Hartford Courant's history. Now, I'm going to go backwards. The very first day when Thomas Green in 1764, a year before 1765, which was the Sons of Liberty, older than the nation, in October 22nd, on October 22nd of 1760, 64, 74. I'm getting my dates mixed up a little bit, but it was before the Sons of Liberty. It was before the Nation. It was I believe it was 1764. 1764. The point I'd like to make is he said on the very first day that he published the Connecticut Current, this newspaper will service the community and its advertisers. So from the get-go, advertising was a part of it. That doesn't mean advertising should tell news what to do. And again, I worked at the Hartford Current. I knew people who worked at the Hartford Current. I didn't know a lot of reporters. I was in the sales side of it.
It happens on
I'm
YouTube.
defending the Hartford Current to one extent, and at the same time, I'm saying learn about the Hartford Current, learn about its history. Mark Twain said there's freedom of the press for the man who owns one.
I think the times have essentially corrupted the Current along with everything else. I think
That
it was
may or may not
probably
be true in my opinion. I know one of the things that I enjoy about us is that we have differing opinions, but we can still respect each other.
of course. I just think if the Hartford Current's editors they don't seem to be, according to the literature and the narrative that they choose to operate from within in their editorials, it doesn't seem to me like there's a diverse population of editors there at all. It's always one side, one perspective.
I must hasten to add one more thing for the record. I left the Hartford Current in 2006. That was a
Right
while
on.
ago.
Right on. Now
I
back
worked
to
there
the
from
yard goats thing.
I worked there from 1993 to 2006, approximately 12 years and 3 months and 7 hours. And I was in the marketing department. And I just got to say, the guy who was in charge for the most of my time, oh fuck, his last name was Waller. Now Waller was an old time goddamn newspaper man, and he was about being a good newspaper, and he
Yeah, those
cared
guys
about
are all
being a
dead
good
and
newspaper.
gone. The
And we were in the seminary. We were in the seminary. You know what a seminary is? That's where the religious people go to learn. And so there was Jesus on the side, and we're in the seminary's like church of the seminary. And he's there talking about New Britain because it's all newspaper. We just rented the space. It was all the newspaper people, and he's talking about how New Britain is going to start a paper, a Sunday paper for the first time. And the Hartford Current did what no other
New Britain
newspaper ever
Herald, is
did.
that what
And
it
yes,
was?
I'm bragging a little bit. The Hartford Current increased Sunday sales with a new competition. But anyway, he's like, we're going to drink their blood. We're going to drink their blood. And he was like, he cared about what he was doing. He would never he was a good
Right.
journalist,
Now,
and he
with
was
that
in
said,
charge of the
could you
Hartford Current.
agree
And mind
that
you,
there
mind
are
you, he
no
was gone.
journalists like
He
that
was
anymore?
gone. He was gone early on in my career. He was the first few years there. I forget what year he left.
Now,
Anyway,
can you agree that there aren't journalists like that around anymore?
well, you know what? I've heard that before, and I would hate to think that. And I'm biased. I'm biased. Let's admit my bias. I'm biased, and I believe absolutely that at the New York Times, at the Hartford Current, at many newspapers around the world and the nation, there are journalists who want Weijia
Now, back
Zhang.
to the
Weijia Zhang is a small, petite Asian woman who asked a goddamn question, and the last orange shit stain. Sorry if anybody is offended by this, but that orange shit stain, you want to talk about a fucking tyrant, when you're an orange shit stain and you run away from a small, petite Asian female woman. If it was John Lithgow in a dress, well,
All
maybe
right, we're
I'd
way
run
off
away.
topic
But
here.
it was a
We went from
small
yard
Asian.
goats.
Oh, but this is about journalism.
We went from yard goats to the Hartford Current, and we need to get back to the yard goats and back to the Hartford Current.
Fuck baseball.
Well,
Fuck
yeah,
apple pie.
I
Fuck
kind of feel
Chevrolet,
that
and fuck
way,
your mother.
and we got to kind of tone
Oops.
down the language too, because that could
Sorry.
screw up the monetization on the video.
Sorry, I'm just at my wits' end. I used to be
And
witty.
also, just
I
for
used to be
clarification,
debonair. I used to be suave.
for
I was
clarification,
clean shaven.
I have to say that Tyrant Slayer Studios does not endorse or disseminate any information regarding COVID-19, the vaccine, or anything that contradicts the World Health Organization or local experts.
Yeah, well, I got Pfizer. I own Pfizer.
Oh yeah,
Pfizer
let's not
set
even
me
mention
free.
Pfizer. Don't even mention the names. Like
Moderna.
YouTube.
Just
Oh,
don't get that
medical
Moderna.
misinformation. He said something with Pfizer in
Don't
a sentence.
just stay
That's
away from
wrong.
John.
So we gotta be very careful here. Back to yard goats. Back to the Hartford Current.
No,
If
because we're not each other.
I'm not
We're
even the
on.
least bit interested in baseball right now, simply because what happened to baseball last year and the cardboard fans in the stands and stuff. Uh, I would have not have worn a mask. I would not have worn a mask at the Yard Goat Stadium, but that's just because of my own health reasons. That's not because I'm stating anything about masks being effective or ineffective, but I can guarantee uh, the folks that did attend the baseball game that the Current wrote about were probably all wearing their masks, and they were probably given those tickets by the hospital they work for or the insurance companies, Cigna. And the other thing about Yard Goats and the stadium itself is it's one big boondoggle. The Yard Goats Stadium represents one of the biggest boondoggles Connecticut has successfully pulled off in a very long time. You and I, Nick, both have a personal friend who was in an electrical union. We don't need to mention his name, but I am personally well aware of how that job was going on, the money problems, how the guys just don't give a shit. Like it's just money. It's all about money. It's not about, oh, we need something better for Connecticut. We need something that for the citizens. We need, the citizens need a good baseball team and a good ballpark, and it has nothing to do with that. And it's nothing like the Hartford Current would portray it. I know the real deal, the real costs, the problem with the job, how it almost never even got completed. The union just walked away, and they must have been begged to come back. I can't imagine what they were rewarded to come back and finish their job. But the stadium itself is a scab, and it should be bulldozed to the ground, if you ask me. So I will never be attending a Yard Goats game. More power to you if you like them. Hey, you do you, man. I'll do me. But with what I know, I can't go to one of those games. In fact, I wouldn't even watch a Major League Baseball game unless maybe I'm drinking or something like that. I do love baseball. Baseball was my first love, but the government of the United States of America has destroyed baseball along with many other fine elements of American culture and society. And with that, I'll give it back to you, Nick. But no
Well,
mention of
I can't speak to goats. I actually, as I was speaking to you, listening to you, and now I'm speaking to you, I was firing up my little DVR, and I actually have one of the news networks in the background, and I was going to try to see if indeed, whether they were wearing masks outdoors or not. I would say, it's 50% capacity. I'm fully vaccinated. I know we can't talk about the vaccine. I mean, where I stand on things. I know where you stand on things.
sure.
Um, um, frankly, I'm what's going on in my head right now is what would be the best thing for you and I to discuss right now at this moment. And I think, I will just say the issue at hand, the whole thing with Vernon. Again, as you know, I only found out tonight that time where I was there, they're saying that you were not, as far as I know, you were 100% professional, and
We have it on camera. We have
we
a
have it on
complete
camera.
camera
So,
record.
and I will stay tuned to find out more about that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you
Wait
know,
until you
I,
see the
I
body cam. I guess we could talk about the body cam footage that'll be releasing, showing my engagement with this officer in the back room after I pulled records and
yeah,
inspected records with you up front
yeah,
in the lobby, and
yeah,
then we'll
and
read
that's
his.
when they're claiming you were unprofessional in some manner,
No,
or
they don't say that. They just say. I'll have it up for you guys in a couple days. He just
okay,
says Tim
okay,
Riley is an agitator.
okay,
He came into our lobby with a video camera because he likes to start trouble. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
which is
not because
just
I'm trying to create an adjective
yeah,
record in case the police want to
right,
steamroll my rights and deny me
right,
access to public
right,
records, but because I'm
right.
a troublemaker.
Right. Well,
Right.
let me say for what it's worth, the concept of what an auditor is and does was something I was not aware of. I'm a fairly well educated person. I'm fairly aware of things, but I didn't know the term auditor. And obviously, they don't either. They don't know what an auditor
Well,
does and
I
why
would
they
have to,
do
I
what
would
they
agree
do.
because I know what you're saying, but I would
Yeah.
have to disagree in the sense that they probably call me an auditor or have like this little book in Vernon PD, like, oh, look out for this guy. He's an
Yeah.
auditor. Be on your best behavior. But
Yeah.
I'm not an auditor. I'm a government accountability activist. And I'm out there holding our government accountable and liable for its actions
I thought
or lack
auditor was
thereof.
another way of saying what you just said.
Yeah, well, I mean, an auditor
Some people.
specifically pulls records and inspects them, assesses the situation in an audit. I do a little more than that. I'm not always just pulling records. I do political commentary. I cover
Mm-hmm.
rallies. I do
Mm-hmm.
interviews
Mm-hmm.
with people.
Mm-hmm.
For example, April 27th, stop the bill on the South Steps, HB
Mm-hmm.
6423,
Mm-hmm.
the repeal of the
Mm-hmm.
religious exemption. I went down there and
That's
just
another.
interviewed like
That's
300
obviously a
people.
topic.
I
That's a
couldn't be called
topic
an
that's
auditor.
obviously.
If
You
you
know.
were
You
to
know, Big Nick from South
South Florida, yeah,
Carolina.
I talked to him about a couple
He's an
months ago.
auditor, right? He calls himself an auditor, does he not?
He's I couldn't speak for him. I wouldn't know how he would
Okay.
categorize
Okay.
himself.
Fine. Okay. Fine. Listen, I know you've already said there's certain things we can talk about, certain things we can't talk about, but um, you and I disagree about religious exemption. I think I'm just going to say it. I'm going to say it, and you can respond any way you want. My thinking is, if you're so against the vaccine, and I think there's overwhelming evidence that
Well,
it's a
I'm
good
not
thing
saying
to
that. I'm
do.
not saying that, and you're not saying that because we're not talking about
Right,
that.
right,
Right. And in
right.
fact, on this
Because if we
channel,
say
we
that,
will not
YouTube's going to
make
pull
any
this down.
message or
YouTube's
publication
going to
of
pull the
anything
plug.
relative to COVID
If
19. Hold on, let me
Yeah,
finish this.
yeah,
Tyrant Slayer Studio is not
yeah.
articulating or espousing anything to the contrary of the World Health Organization or local health officials in regard to
Right,
COVID 19 or the vaccines.
right.
With that,
And
you can continue on very carefully.
but if you say that the opinions expressed by a guest, yours truly, first of all,
I don't know
YouTube
that that would
isn't.
be enough. I know that I
Yeah, yeah,
specifically
yeah, yeah.
have to say, I
I
specifically
know
have
we
to
have to be
say,
careful here, but as you know where I stand on things. I also believe that the CDC has screwed the pooch, but I can't say that, right?
we don't know if the CDC has, well, see, it's so strange how they're controlling what we can say and what we can't, and this
Yeah,
is so un-American. I would
yeah,
much rather wait to have a conversation in great detail about
yeah,
this come
yeah.
July. Come July.
Okay.
July
All right.
4th, we'll do a
All
special
right.
on COVID and the
All right.
vaccine and the CDC and the
Yeah.
virus, and then
Yeah.
like some of the poorest countries
Yeah.
that haven't
Yeah.
engaged in
Oh,
anything that the first world
yeah.
countries have, but have much better numbers
Yeah.
to reflect
Let me
upon.
very carefully say that just a few hours ago, I was thinking, I wonder if there's a site where I can go and get nothing but data from March 22nd of 2020 to now and just look for correlations because as I've said to you before, I seek the truth, I know you seek the truth, and the truth will eventually out.
Mm-hmm.
And you and I disagree on a lot of things when it comes to this unmentionable subject. um, I think it's worth saying, I want to say this carefully, if you are so sure that you know better about, let's say, the thing that we can't talk
X, Y,
about.
or Z,
Okay,
right?
okay, okay, but listen. I want to say, there's some things we agree on, and the thing I want to say is this: when it comes to education and the government, my point that I'm trying to make is, would you want to send your children to a school that's going to teach them about evolution, and it's not going to teach them that man and dinosaurs lived at the same time. It's not going to teach them about Noah's Ark. Now, maybe you think I'm, expanding the
No, I know what
focus.
you're
Maybe you think
asking.
I'm connecting things that shouldn't be connected. But it's just a thought I had. Like, if you want to homeschool your kid, you have every right to do that. I'm just going to say for the record that subject we can't talk about. I'm against the religious exemption. I am. Um, but at the same time, the reason I'm against it is you don't really have to. If you're so against, if you need the religion, send your kids to parochial school. If you can't afford to send your kids to
Well, what's
parochial
happening
school,
now is a lot
well,
of
that's
people.
too bad. Maybe you shouldn't have had children.
Well, let me
Now,
stop
I
you
know
there.
some of
A
your
lot of
audience may not
people.
like that, but I speak my truth. I speak what I think. And if
Right.
I
Well,
offend
let me
someone,
give you
or
some insight.
but I welcome opposing
There were,
viewpoints. I
yeah, there were
truly welcome opposing
7,000.
viewpoints.
There were
I'm a
about
Pyrrhonist.
7,000 people.
Pyrrhonist. I don't pretend to know things.
Right, and that's great. And I love my inner Pyrrhonist, which I have discovered through my friendship with you. And I pride myself on the fact that, unlike other people, I won't pretend to know. So,
Don't pretend to know.
with that
You heard
said,
about
I'll go on to
Socrates.
to
You heard about
say
Aristotle. You heard about
to answer your
Plato.
question.
But
Well,
did
hang
they
on
teach
now.
you about Pyrrho?
Well, not so much. I read a lot in response to our conversations, and I have kind of given myself a crash course and could probably answer some basic questions, but we could do that in a couple days on the next live stream. What I would like to say, getting back to your question and education, is no, I would never send my children to a public school, so I wouldn't have to worry
Anyway,
about what the
yeah,
school is teaching.
yeah,
Public
yeah,
education is very overrated with things that have developed over the last 12, 14 years or so, or
yeah,
you know, Common Core and
yeah,
just the hijacking of the curriculum, the little
yeah,
box, that the
yeah,
box of curriculum. And if your
yeah,
kid doesn't fit in it,
yeah,
then you get a
yeah,
call from the school.
yeah,
You got to leave your work
yeah.
and lose
Let,
your
let,
wages.
let
And
me
they go and
chime
they
in with
try to
a
tell
one
you, hold
little
on, let me
thing.
finish.
One
They
little
try to tell
thing.
you that there's something wrong with your kid. He
Yeah,
has
yeah,
learning disability or
yeah,
ADD. They want to put your 6-year-old on drugs because he's not paying attention in my
yeah,
class. He's doing great in all the other classes, but oh, not here in this class. It must be your kid.
yeah.
Like, and people who don't have time to hear it and look at the doctors and look at the teachers and blindly trust them. They just eat it all up, and they're like, "Okay, cool. So what does he need? Ritalin? Okay, cool. We'll get him on Ritalin. We'll see how he does next semester." Or
For what it's worth, I've had this thought. What if the governments were in charge of creating the building, but somehow, and I haven't figured it out completely, I'll admit, if I don't think the government should be in control of the curriculum necessarily, maybe they should build the buildings. The government should build the school buildings if you believe in public education. That's a whole nother question. I'm not so sure about public education. Everybody
well,
thinks it's
the
so
thing is
important.
until we become
If it
until
was
we
only
become the board
private,
of ed.
listen, of all the schools I went to, the private school that I went to in upstate New York called Harley, it was superior to UConn. It was superior to Farmington High. It was superior to UConn. Did I already mention UConn? It was
You
superior. Harley, private school.
UConn
Not
wouldn't even be a
everyone gets to
successful
go to a
college.
private school.
UConn, the University of Connecticut, UConn,
Yep.
home of the Huskies, wouldn't even be a notable college without the basketball team and all the tax dollars that the Connecticut
Well,
citizens
it
pay
was
to prop
somewhat
the whole
notable
thing up.
before we started doing
Without
well
the
in
Connecticut
basketball.
tax dollars propping all of that up, UConn crumbles in 4 years, guaranteed. Take away the tax
Yeah,
dollars, and that school goes under faster than a boat taking on
yeah.
water.
I
So
want to
let's
get
look at this
back to
comment here. Thought about listening, but you all sound like you're worried about your channel instead of speaking your mind. Well, we are doing our best to speak our minds. We are not necessarily worried about this channel in particular, but what we are kind of evading here is the censorship algorithm that the communist hipster doofuses at Google and YouTube love to use to silence opposing political beliefs or science that doesn't fit their agenda. And before I go on any further, I must remind my audience that no information or statements made on Tyrant Slayer Studios is to be taken to the contrary of the World Health Organization or local health experts regarding COVID or COVID-19. And then I'll continue to say, if I'm not careful about how I choose my words, if I'm not careful about how my guests are speaking, if I'm not careful in the middle of a rally where I'm trying to just hear what the people have to say, and I'm not careful about the guy who's playing music in the background, I can get hit with a copyright. My live stream could be
Yeah.
taken down. And then let me ask you, Play-Doh Face, what would the point of doing any of this be if 20 minutes from now the video gets taken down? So I could either be careful about how I'm doing things or I could do nothing at all. Don't you think this is a better choice? With all due
Hey,
respect.
Tim,
Yes.
next time tell your guest that you can see the comments from StreamYard.com.
Oh, yeah. If you just hit the
I
comments
didn't. I
thing.
just realized that. So I've been going back and forth to YouTube, and so listen. I just want to say to KD Giacomo, can I get to the point instead of babbling? Hasn't happened yet.
Hey, and you know what? I don't mind your babbling. Look, we can't please everyone here, but we're going to try to please as many people as we can and just keep things interesting for you folks. Look, we're not big corporations with lots of
I'm
money
not getting
and
paid for
half-naked
this,
women.
folks.
Right, we're not making any money right now. We're out here just as much for you.
Tim owes me money.
Yes, that's right. I do owe this man some money. Hey, thank you, Dopey Tripod, for that. Please, folks, remember, hit that like button if you can. If you're new here, hit the subscribe button. I got great content coming out. Dig back into
Tim?
the prior videos. You'll see I got a lot of great
Hey,
stuff.
Tim,
Yes, sir.
I can read the comments, but I can't make one?
I don't know. I can make one, but I don't know if you can.
Yeah. No, I can't seem to make one. I guess I can make one verbally. I can't type one, and that's okay. I can do a private
all right.
chat. I can chat with the host and other guests, and then comments. Anyway,
Hey, guys, I think we should wrap it up. I think we're at a good point.
yeah.
12
You know,
o'clock. This ran a little long.
want to apologize for my rambling.
No, it's quite all right.
What
Nick.
are you gonna do?
Hey, I don't
I
think
got
there
a
was
lot
as
going
much.
on in here.
I
got
don't think there was as much
going
babbling.
on in here. There's a lot. Today I found out I wasn't going to need surgery. Today I found out that there was this big brouhaha family thing. I won't get into it, but it had to do with the vaccine. It had to do with Dr. Fauci. I'm not going to get into it. I can't get into it. But I have family members who are more religious than scientific. I'm more scientific than religion. My mother was a secular humanist. That's the point. Secular humanism, religion, teams. If I could say one more thing, because I may never get a chance to say things to 27 people, however many people are listening. I want you to think about team mentality in religion and politics. I want you to think about team mentality in religion and politics. I want you to think about having to show that special thing around your neck, that special little token that says you're on a particular religious team. There is one God, and there is one. If you're not half-bred Austro-Hungarian WASP, what's the point?
Hey, did you see that guy's follow-up?
Also, teams in politics, and the duopoly. I didn't get a chance to say and the duopoly, and I have to say
Did Giacomo's comment there, Nick?
Duopoly.
Digiacomo. That's a nice name. K. Digiacomo. I'm just razzing you is all. Don't take it personally.
Yeah, well, I've been razzed all my life. They could call me Nick Raz.
Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. We will be back in a couple
and
days
love.
with a mountain of stuff on Vernon PD, the chief,
one
and
more
its
shameless
officers.
plug, Mr. Tyrant Slayer, if you don't
Yes,
mind.
sir. Please plug away, sir.
I would just like to invite anyone who's into rock and roll, if they're interested, Nick on drums. Well, it's www.crazymary.com.
Right on. And there you have it, folks.
We have a lot of albums, more than 5.
Yeah, and it's actually a pretty damn good music too.
Well, thank you very much. I just want to say one more thing.
I'll tell you right now, his albums were stolen in a burglary.
Walter Stedding has an album too. Walter Stedding, he was. Check out Walter Stedding.
Beautiful, ladies and gentlemen.
Beautiful.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Always a pleasure,
Nick. Listening.
I hope you come back in a couple of days.
I welcome opposing viewpoints. I don't pretend to know shit. Socrates. I'll leave you with this. Socrates said one thing. Socrates said, if I ever seem like I know what I'm talking about, if I ever seem smart, because I don't pretend to know shit. Mm-hmm. The mic drop.
Words of wisdom, folks. Have a good night. We'll see you next time.
Love you, brother. Love you, brother.
Love you too.